Gentlemen, this is one of the most important news stories today, and it's one of the most important news stories of the past year. It's something that's been suppressed, and it's a shame. It's a travesty that in this country, where we pride ourselves on the Bill of Rights and the First Amendment, that there are things you can't talk about nowadays, or there are things you can't talk about before November 3rd, but you can talk about them miraculously after November 3rd. I wonder how that works. Is that journalism nowadays to hide stories and then sheepishly and shamefully delve into them or just touch upon them after Democrats deem it appropriate? But here, this is the Associated Press today. Documents from Caligula Biden's son asked for information related to support. The courts are demanding, the Justice Department is demanding documents from Caligula Biden's son asking for information related to more than 24 entities, including the gas company in Ukraine that hired him. Now, this is part of the Justice Department tax investigation. Ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe right now to this channel. This is the type of thing that gets President Trump or vindicates 74 million Trump supporters, gets us back in power in 2024, in 2022. If you want to say all is not lost, no problem, fine. You need to still be forward-thinking. Or if you want to say all is lost, then you're just giving up and allowing Democrats to control the future of this country. I don't think you want to do that. This is really interesting. The breadth of the subpoena issued Tuesday underscores the wide-angle lens prosecutors are taking as they examine Caligula's finances and international business ventures. Caligula's ties to oil and gas companies overseas in particular have long dogs the police work, policy work, and political aspirations of his father. So this is interesting. We know that there are emails, incriminating documents, text messages, showing that Caligula set up meetings with his father while Biden was sitting vice president. While Biden was sitting vice president in President Obama's administration, there were meetings taking place. And meetings that involve one 2014 email, basically saying something to the effect, how can you utilize your influence to help us? I'll get you the exact quote right now. But ladies and gentlemen, get this segment viral. Learn about this issue. If you say, well, they're just going to sweep it under the rug, they can't. I agree with you. Very likely at this juncture, they're trying to address it, report on it, and then sweep it under the rug saying we found nothing. That's what Democrats do. That's what the FBI and the DOJ does for Democrats all the time. Apparently even during President Trump's administration for a great part of it. At least we got Kevin Kleinsmith. He was indicted on deceiving a FISA judge. So there has been a person indicted on trying to set up and frame everyone around President Trump's administration, which is exactly what they did. There was no Trump Russia. It was a complete fabrication. There was no direct evidence of anything. And they demand immediate direct evidence. When we have circumstantial evidence, that's legitimate circumstantial evidence in court. 1,000 signed affidavits, signed under penalty of perjury, sworn affidavits. So in addition to everything else that needs to be investigated, we need to investigate and litigate and create pressure within the Republican Party to do something about what took place the past month. That's how you regain control of the country. You can't simply allow this corruption to continue. And it's not like pointing out and addressing the fact that Caligula is under investigation. And it's not just the tax issue, the $400,000 that he didn't pay. It's a whole bunch of things pertaining to pertaining to selling access to the U.S. government. This is the issue. They don't want Biden's son for.
My family has stayed true to our original sausage recipe.
For anything, okay? He doesn't have background in oil and gas, and they don't want him for anything other than his father. And his father didn't acquire over $10 million within 8 to 10 years because he came into the vice presidency with $300,000 or so, and then he left with about 10 to 12 over that millions of dollars. So how did he acquire that money? That's number one. And number two, the issue is why are foreign entrepreneurs, wealthy individuals, multinationals going through Biden's son? Why? Why did they go through the foundation to get to the Clintons? Because Democrats find initially legal methods of graft. They find legal accepted means of engaging in graft. So they say, well, the New York Southern District for like a second, I think it was pre-Barara for like a second, investigated the Clinton Foundation. We found nothing. And then we couldn't talk about this before the election, but now we can kind of talk about this. But you look, imagine if this was front and center. Republicans had to do a better job, ladies and gentlemen, of publicizing this. This is one email in 2015. Dear Caligula, thank you for inviting me to D.C. and giving me an opportunity to meet your father and spend some time together. He was sitting vice president. It's really an honor and pleasure. Okay, they wanted President Trump under oath. We need to get Biden under oath because he actually did something. See, Trump never did anything. That's why he never went under oath. Bill Clinton did something. Oh my goodness, did I ever? That's why they got him under oath. So there's a lot to talk about. This story is all over the place. That's why I'm all over the place. Usually I'm all over the place, but there's so much to talk about. And I'm long-winded naturally, and also just to address the algorithm issues. But here, an earlier email from May 2014 also shows that the number 3 executive at the company asked Caligula, quote, for advice on how you could use your influence on the company's behalf. It's right there. Peter Strzok saying we'll stop Trump is right there. And the emails with the DNC and the campaign emails, Bill Clinton Inc. They're all right there. But Democrats demand absolute categorical, direct evidence, proof, without a shadow of a doubt, and any conjecture, any innuendo, any suspicion. You can't. There's no way that they'll even accept any of it. But if it's President Trump, oh my God, there's an ellipsis. They impeached him on an ellipsis. 3 dots after a sentence. But President Trump is about to release, hopefully soon, documents related to Biden. So this is really, really interesting. Caligula confirmed Wednesday that his taxes are under federal investigation. The revelation comes in delicate time for Biden. Okay, in addition to the request related to documents on the board that he served, the subpoena issued last week also seeks information on Hunter's business dealings in China and other countries. So they're up the creek, and I'll tell you why. If the rebuttal is, well, they're not going to do anything about it, the special counsel, John Durham's special counsel, can and hopefully will do something about it. The reason being is the evidence they're going to obtain. It's true, very likely, almost certainly, probably nothing at this juncture. Nothing serious will take place. They're going to sweep everything under the rug. Like Democrats do, media will try their best to just address. This is how media does it. They address the issue and then pull back. They don't engage in any investigative journalism. With Trump, they engaged in investigative journalism pertaining to things they thought could have happened. So they never had emails showing that Trump paid any Russian internet companies to buy Facebook ads. They didn't have any direct evidence that Facebook swung the election. They didn't have anything aside from a dossier purchased by Clinton. And and a conversation from Alexander Downer and George Papadopoulos where they just trusted a diplomat just because he was saying something that they wanted to investigate. They actually investigated gossip from both Downer and the Steele dossier. And then the ODNI report, there was no direct evidence of anything. They were moderately highly confident. With this, there are actually emails. There's money transfer. It's not just about making money. It's not just about nepotism. It has nothing to do with nepotism. It's about selling access to the United States government. It doesn't even have anything to do with specific policies that were influenced by the money. Democrats then hide behind the, what policies were? Well, there was a Russian reset, number one, wasn't there, in 2008? And there's a reset on a whole lot of things nowadays, or that they want, okay? You can, if you read Clinton cash, you can definitely see beneficial treatment taking place for the people, from Peter Schweizer, for the people and businesses and countries that gave money to the Clinton Foundation. You can see there's also correlation. There's also numerous correlations between foreign policy, or at least democratic foreign policy, and the money flow between Ukraine and Biden's son. But the question is, why was Biden's son used as an intermediary? The evidence acquired can then be used for impeachment. So I'm finally getting to the point of this in every segment about Caligula. Biden has lied already. Nobody lies more than Democrats. If the Washington Post ever decided to do a tally of all the deceitful comments and lies from Democrats, it would be like twice as many as they claim President Trump has made. But Biden has already lied numerous times. He stated he doesn't know anything. He never knew anything. Then you have pictures. Then you have yesterday. I did a segment on keys that the Associated Press talked about. Bunter Biden, Caligula made keys for Biden to share an office. So, and then you have the Council on Foreign Relations video where Biden says, "Oh yeah, and they're not going to get the billion loan guarantees." And everyone says, "Oh, that's tinfoil." Excuse me. How is that foreign policy? Who allowed this man? Where's the precedent where a vice president? Where's the precedent where a vice president is forcing out any government official of another country and utilizing leverage in the form of $1 billion in loan guarantees? Is there any precedent at all in U.S. history where a vice president does this? And why on earth is Biden the point person for Ukraine? Could it have anything to do with his son being an intermediary? Why would he be the point person for Ukraine? Why would you pick any one individual or the vice president as the point person for Ukraine? There's no reason for that, other than, perhaps it has to do with his son making a great deal of money and his brother making a great deal of money, James Biden. But the evidence acquired leads directly to impeachment in 2022. And again, if people say, nobody will be happier than me, my God almighty. I don't want to hear defeatist mentality. It's not defeatist. It's not defeatist at all. Nobody's pulling more for President Trump than I am. Nobody. But do you want to reclaim political power in 2022? Yes or no? Yes or no? Do you want to reclaim political power in 2024? Yes or no? Very simple answer, ladies and gentlemen. The answer should be yes, and I know it is yes. So you have to acknowledge.
Dogfish says Slightly Mighties are super light, low-cal IPA with only 95 calories. It's brewed with a touch of monk fruit.
Acknowledge and push Republicans, people like Mitt Romney and Ben Sasser, just don't vote for them, but push for Republicans in general to address this issue, to sink their teeth into it and never let it go, because it's actually not only a legitimate story, it's probably one of the biggest scandals in American history, and that's not hyperbole at all. You have people selling access to the vice presidency, and nobody's really even talking about that. They're talking about, well, there's issues with $400,000 not being told to the IRS. Well, $400,000 in 2014 in 1 year, I think it was $400 grand. That's a lot of money. People face a lot of problems, legal, possible jail time, a lot of issues pertaining to that. And so you think it's only about that? Why did this man, who has not only like major substance abuse issues, but never not a stellar resume in terms of business, getting all this money because he's a conduit? That's the issue. And Democrats say, well, where's the direct evidence? Where's the direct evidence of impeachment? You impeached President Trump without direct evidence. You started a council based on Comey's memos. That's not direct evidence. The ODNI report's not direct evidence. Where was the direct evidence? They can demand direct evidence for 1,000 affidavits, but the information acquired, forget about whether Caligula gets indicted. Because my mentality has changed. I think I'm like a better channel. I have a better voice now because it's not about whether he gets indicted. I kind of realize this. It's about acquiring enough information of criminal wrongdoing where eventually, when you weed out the Ben Sasser, Mitt Romney mentality from the Republican Party, they can eventually act like a unified Democratic Party and then go after real, a mountain of evidence pointing to just grandiose pay-to-play schemes. And so that's what you need. So 2022 is not only payback, it's retribution, but rightfully so. Because you have impeachment, and you have a reason to impeach because Biden lied about his son being a conduit. Son didn't get the Biden family didn't get money for their immense knowledge of international business. They know nothing about international business. None of these Democrats, you think people pay, maybe Bill Clinton knows a good deal. You think Madam Secretary or Biden or his brother or his son know anything about international business and finance? You think where was the money that they acquired from business deals, business deals throughout in the world over the years? How about no major business deals? No ventures overseas or businesses they started or anything? They're selling their position within the United States government. That's what Democrats do. People don't understand. That's the issue. It's not about nepotism. Nepotism is fine, actually. It's not about nepotism. It's about breaking the law or bending the law to allow people to think that they can get something or give people something or allow people in other countries to gain access to the highest levels of the United States government. That's the national security threat, not Facebook ads. My God almighty. Do you think that, the Founding Fathers, or do you think that John Kennedy, or do you think that Reagan would allow this type of pay-to-play nonsense? Do you think maybe when you are meeting as a vice president in President Obama's administration, so President Obama's administration was like a consulting firm for countries around the world, to consult on how to get access to the U.S. government? You had Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation. You had Biden, his son and his brother, and meetings that he's taking. Where are the meetings that Pompeo and Trump and Ivanka and Jared Kushner where are they accepting money for access to? I want to know where that's happening. How about it's not happening at all? So now you have documents that President Trump's going to eventually release. And if he doesn't, he'll eventually release it, or it'll be released eventually. And they'll show, interestingly enough, 29, this is really interesting, 29 entities. So this is very, very interesting. So something like 29 entities associated with the Bidens. And so you have, this is a huge, huge story, ladies and gentlemen. A huge story. 24 entities, okay? More than two, this is USA Today, more than 24 entities. So it's not just the company. It's not just the company. like 24 entities. It's not just the company that gave Caligula money. It's a whole lot of businesses around the world. Is his son going to get indicted? Probably not. And that's coming from me, where I'm like, okay, justice is going to happen anytime now. I have been beaten into submission by the reality that Democrats are just so corrupt, they hide everything, and they investigate and find nothing. But the problem with that kind of corruption for them is that during the investigation, there are realities and truths and incriminating evidence and details that they can't circumvent. So eventually it's going to come down to bite them in the rear end, whether it's the special counsel, or in 2022 when Republicans take the House, or when people like Ron Johnson, or people like Rand Paul, people like Matt Gaetz, Jim Jordan, Ron DeSantis, when these people gain political power and take over the Republican Party completely. Because you still have the Ben Sasse and Mitt Romneys doing devoting their lives to covering up Democratic corruption. Because they hope, they believe one day Democrats will allow them or will embrace them in their presidential.
This holiday season, every time you buy a bottle of delicious aviation gin at Sam's Club, you'll also be helping the sick kids.
Presidential run. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. My segment prior to this one is very important. So some people took it. I say 98% of the people loved it. Maybe 2% of people said, "Oh my God, you're giving up." It's like, no, I'm not giving up. Do you want to win or do you want to lose? And for the people who say, "Oh, well, our country's lost," our country's not lost. My God Almighty, they pulled a fast one. If they pull a fast one, we find out what to do to ensure they don't do it again. Okay. The state GOPs fell asleep at the wheel. The Republican parties for Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin were completely steamrolled, and they run the state legislatures. Why? Because there are too many Ben Sasse, Mitt Romney type, or Brad Raffensperger or Kemp type Republicans. So you have a choice. It starts, look, Pelosi and Biden and Schumer and Clinton, those aren't really the first political adversaries you have to worry about. It's the Mitt Romney, Ben Sasse, Richard Burr, Kemp in Georgia, Ducey in Arizona, those type of people. Because those people are beholden to the media. Media is run pretty much. They're in the pocket of the Democratic Party, so you do the math on that. The more that if Republicans really want to gain, and they will, 2022, the House will be run by Republicans. But if President Trump, 74 million Trump supporters, want to regain everything that we used to have, that we still have right now, but want to regain in 2022 and 2024, and make sure that none of the malarkey that took place in this election takes place in 2024, we have to focus on this story, and we have to get the entire Republican Party to sink their teeth into the story. And have this story serve as the basis of impeachment in 2022. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel. Get this segment viral. I have a Rumble account that's below in the pinned comment. I'll be back today. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless you. Stay positive. And please, no more doom and gloom is saying, oh, all is lost if we don't reclaim what's rightfully ours. Don't think that way. Because the future is bright, and we have to take peaceful and legal steps to regain